Okay, my friends, this is going to be fun. NASA, who, virtually everybody I know now has lost respect for them because of their incompetence. But we're going to see if that's true, that they are truly incompetent, or can they sort fact from fantasy. They're saying there's space oddities. And they say, remember as a kid looking up at the big blue sky and seeing a cloud that looked like a lamb or a horse or some other creature like a dragon or a familiar object on Earth? Well, the same phenomena happens to people with weak minds. And they see images in rocks and dust and other natural patterns. They're pointing at me. That I do pareidolia. All I can see is things that aren't there, but I say they are there. Well, NASA can sort fact from fantasy. Let's see how good they are at it. Okay, my friends, prepare yourself. Sit firmly in your seat so as not to fall to the floor. What do you see here? Whoa, Roger, I see a bear. Well, where is that? Well, that's on Mars. And guess what that's called? That's Paradeolia, which means you see something, and you think it's something, and you claim it's something, but it is not the something that you say and claim it is. I agree with that 100%. There is such a thing as Paradeolia. Let's see what is not Paradeolia and is on Mars. Okay, my friends, I made this video and really kind of assailed academia, Fermilab, NASA, all of them, because they really need to be spoken to harshly because they just slough it off and let it float. Now, I made some statements saying frauds, liars, a bunch of different things. I retract all that. I will let you make that determination. Okay, you watch the video and I will show you what NASA has missed. It's just literally undeniable. There is nobody on the face of the planet that is that incompetent. So what else is going on there? And the same thing at Fermilab. I say the incompetence level is off the charts. If they say, well, no, these things aren't true. What I show you will be physical evidence and it will be true. And if you can dispute it, I want it to be disputed. And they refuse to dispute it, they just discount it, and then they just refuse to engage in any of my comments. So I got very, very, very frustrated. And I've been frustrated now for 15 years at this research because it's just not allowed unless you are part of that group and you have some little thing to say. But you can't do the kind of things I do and make these kind of claims regardless of the information, because I have all the facts and I have all the DNA tests and the CAT scans and the specimens. I have all the light experiments, I have the research, I have the photographs, I have everything. And this is why they refuse to engage with me, because they can't destroy me as a peer review. They can just ignore me. And that's what's happened. And that's why I was so frustrated. And I made some harsh comments. I retract all those harsh comments. What you should do is concentrate on my evidence. Then you can make a harsh comment at me and call me a fraud and a liar. I certainly won't be upset about that if you can present the evidence that I could present. If you present evidence against me, I'm 100% with that. I present evidence against them, they run and hide. That's why I was very, very, very upset. I'd just been attacked a number of times. Oh, this has been forever. And it was just, the head popped. And my head popped. So I'm sorry I got so nasty. But at a certain point, you get to a point where it's very hard to take anymore. So look at it in that response. And again, I didn't mean to impugn anybody's integrity. If they are that incompetent, then really they shouldn't be doing that job. And especially the people at Fermilab. They shouldn't be there at all. If that's their response to what I showed. And again, you make your own determination, but this is crazy. They're spending our money like water. And now we don't even have any water anymore because we don't have any free energy. And I say we can get it. So let's see who you think is incompetent. Is it Roger Spur, Mudfossil University? Is it Roger? Or is it the people that I'm going to be pointing to? You make your determination and then leave me a comment about it. I'd like to know how you feel. Okay, again, if I misstated myself in here, calling people frauds and liars, what I meant to say was if they are this incompetent, what I meant to say was, are they this incompetent or are they frauds and liars? Not that I'm saying absolutely they're frauds and liars. I'm saying if this level of incompetence exists, well, certainly they shouldn't be in a job. And secondarily, are they frauds and liars? Because that's what happens when somebody can't support their position, they can turn to fraud and lies. And I believe in my own mind that that's the case. Now, I'm not going to, and I did spit it out like that, and it sounded that way, but I can't believe anybody could be this incompetent. So I have to assume it's on the other side. So I'm just going to play this. You listen to what it says. I'm just going to let it go right through, because this was the original video I put up. Now don't forget, I am, taking back my statements. Did I be saying in here, this guy's a fraud, this guy's a liar? But they did, this is what their responses were to my communications to them. And I felt if they are that incompetent, it's just literally impossible. So I had to shift it to that side of the spectrum. Now, this is up to you to make your own determination. I am not demeaning, well, I am sure I'm demeaning people because they demean me. From day one, they just demean me, and they're still trying to, calling this Paradeolia. This just came out, that they're attacking me, saying there's a bear on Mars, and can't you see the bear on Mars? And then this is how they handle this. Now listen to this. I've been trying to get them to speak to me about the discoveries I saw in the Curiosity mission for 8 years now. Not a single response from anybody at NASA, other than to demean me. You see, this is NASA's explanation of what I'm seeing. There's even a word for this phenomenon, pareidolia, pronounced Paradeolia. Dictionaries describe it as a human tendency to recognize shapes in objects or data that are otherwise not familiar to us. No, that's not true. What we have here is PHDs, which mean they're perfectly happy deluded in their denials of reality. And, all right. Then I probably turned a little harsh. Okay, I did sort of finish it up by, it's a disgrace to intelligence. Now listen to this. I've been commenting on space and Mars and what Velikovsky said, and it all came true. I've been talking about the asteroids and meteorites that exist, and they are biological, and they cannot accept this, so they strike out with this nonsense to attack reality and run and hide from it. That's what's happened. But NASA is a disgrace. All right, I probably got a little more forceful, but I'm going to hold off on that. Let's just go a little further. Okay, this was another statement I made about they're the biggest disgrace on the face of Earth. Academia is just nothing but littered with fools. Now, this is something that is interstitium. It's literally a new body part. And I found this in mud fossils. You see this? Meet your interstitium, a newfound organ. This fluid-filled highway and this spongy area they never knew existed. By the time it was in the autopsy room, it was flat as a pancake. I could see it because it's in my mud fossils. It's everywhere. Because I see the full thing, and I see it 1,000 times bigger than you see it. Because I see things that are from giants, like this hair follicle. You say, well, Roger, that's not a hair follicle. Oh, no? Let me show you what a hair follicle looks like and how it is. All right, that's a hair follicle, and so is this. You see this? This is it right here. That right there is where the erector pili muscle attaches, so your hair can do this. This right here is the sebaceous gland. You see it? It's exactly what it is. This is where the hair, it grows down and then it comes back up. This is the root. Root grows down and then it comes back up and turns into the hair shaft. This is the vein and artery, those two little round spots. That is a hair follicle, and that is much bigger than a normal hair follicle. You know what they are in you. They're just microscopic almost. This is from a giant creature. And that's not even as big as they get. They get bigger than that. All right, when I said the hair follicle is not all that big, it isn't. Look at this. This is what's called interstitium. Well, here it is right here. This is this interstitium that they found, a newfound organ. And again, I could see it in my mud fossils. It's just absolutely gigantic. I could see all these little tiny balls. You see these little tiny balls in here? I don't know if you can or not. You should be able to see them there now. You see all those little tiny balls that are in there? And that fluid-filled highway, that white band, and the black, darker band underneath? All that is your immune system. This is where all the bacteria and enzymes exist. They never even knew it was here. Consequently, they didn't realize this was sending out the enzymes to do the chemistry to keep you healthy. And they just discovered this layer in 2018, and a lot of people, doctors don't even really understand it yet. They don't understand what its function is. But let's just show you what interstitium is. I showed you the fluid-filled highway. This is what they call mucosa, skin, fascia, whatever. It's the coating, like the membrane. This is the same as this. This is all the little springy stuff that's under your skin. This is the mucosa, fascia, skin. It's the coating that covers the vital flesh, which is just below this. This is the part where everything floats and slides around on underneath your skin. And then you get into your muscle, and all that tendon and all that would be below this. So this is the gooey, fleshy area that, you can pull it this way, you can pull it that way, you can pull it this way. And you'll see that on Mars. Now what is this? This is the same thing. You see that? That's the skin. That's the skin. And this is the fleshy stuff that's underneath, and these were the balls that were in it, holding it in its position. They have eroded out, and now it's turned into mud. The red stuff now is mud. The balls don't go bad. They call them stromatolites. Call them, I don't care what you call them. They call these stromatolites. Well, they can also call them Moki marbles. You want to see that? Here's the Moki marbles right here. And those are in Nevada and Utah. And guess where else they are? They're on Mars. They're called the Mars blueberries. This is what really distresses me about the incompetence in the sciences. They're not allowed to speak about this. I see this. I know this for a fact. You see, this is not a guess anymore. They realize this, and there's a ton of layers up above, not just one. You see all these layers? That's above this little bullet, which is this little bullet, and below that is all the balls that hold your flesh in position. And here's this all eroded from gigantic creatures. They're absolutely phenomenally gigantic size. And here's what they would look, well, here's what they are in an actual creature. Here's where all those balls are. And the waves came down here and eroded it away, and you end up with all that red fleshy stuff, and the balls went down. All right, so that's interstitium. All right, it was right there. So this was some kind of mucosa, more than likely. And below it is the red fleshy area, and then that has all the balls in it, and they wrote it out. You see that? That's up on Mars. It's called the Mars Morse code. That is that interstitium laying flat. And because Mars was destroyed when Venus hit it, it crashed into it and just destroyed everything, killed all the creatures, which they're all over the place, just like they are on Earth. Gigantic. You saw Huntington Beach, that gigantic slab of interstitium? Same thing up on Mars. And this is the Mars little blueberries. These little balls are they turn black, but they're big. This is big. I'm not sure of the scale, but it's pretty good size. This is from NASA. And this is the pinched together skin, stretched skin. That is the interstitium. And that's biology. And here also is biology, is the Mars crab. You see that? That's the Mars crab. And that's the vein coming back up, and that's the artery going down and spitting all its legs into there and servicing these muscle sarcomeres. Now, I showed this in this other video. Again, I got kind of nasty, so I'm trying to clean myself up from it. And again, if I do call anybody a liar or a fraud, I retract that. You make your decision whether it is just incompetence, and it should be allowed at taxpayers' expense for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions and billions of dollars, trillions probably. This is the Mars blueberries. This is identical to the Moki marbles. There's no difference whatsoever. And again, you make your determination who's the coming up with the solid evidence and who is the fraud and has Paradeolia, or PHDeolea as I call it. Okay, back to my video originally where I was a little bit harsh. Now this is nothing more than red blood that's eroded. That's why it's called the red planet. It's red blood that is eroded. Now listen to what I had to say. These are the sarcomeres you just saw being fed by that red blood. That's what sarcomeres are. They're muscle. All right, we saw those just a second ago. These are the sarcomeres right here. And the blood is servicing these sarcomeres. That's it right here. It's the blow up of that little spot there. All right. All of this red blood to be all over the planet. That's why it's the red planet. This is red blood eroded. These are the sarcomeres you just saw being fed by that red blood. That's what sarcomeres are. They're muscle pinchers. That's a pinched in muscle, and that's just a relaxed muscle. That's what it is. You just saw it. Okay, again, I just went through a bit of a rant, and I have to say, if they say the things that I say, they will be destroyed, and they will destroy your life. It's called peer review. They'll destroy your life. Go off by happy, go give themselves awards for being so creative. That's what happens. There are all these Nobel Prizes and all that business. They don't know what they're talking about. They have no clue. The people that award them these prizes have no clue what they're saying. It's just nonsense. Because if they would talk to me and ask me, let's talk about physics, let's talk about geology, let's talk about the history, any of that stuff. Let's discuss it. But they hide from people with evidence. That way there, you throw all the awards you want. That's why I got so upset. And I'm sorry for feeling this way, but I'm telling you, it's been 15 years of absolute demeaning, nasty. They call me a tinfoil hat guy from Fermilab. Yale literally stole my research and published it after I wrote my book from my frustrations because of the same thing that happened with Velikovsky. I call it Mudfossils and Velikovsky and minds in collision because of these people can't accept reality. So, again, I was nasty, and my tone is not nice here, and I didn't mean to be that way. All right, here's this point I made here. They're creative at lying. All right, this is on Earth. This is a piece of stuff that's on Earth. I think let me just play this and see how it comes out. Is millions of years in one picture? No, this is like 15 minutes. The thing died and fell over. That is nothing but biology, my friends. I have the same biology here. It's a little smaller, but there it is right there. That's that piece we just saw sticking up in the ocean. This is flesh, goes away. This is the abrupt transition. This is a tendon, tough as hell. And over on this side, this is the same piece. There was a bone here, and that washes away. This right here is what we just saw up in the ocean. Identical to this. You see, this is all the blood that serviced the sarcomeres in the muscle. This is tendon, tough as hell. This is identical to what we just saw sticking up out of the ocean. And the reason it's only this little piece is because that's tendon 100 times tougher than bone and muscle. That didn't erode. They think these are layer after layer after layer, millions of years. No, that was the creature's body. All right, and as I just showed you in the muscle that I have here in my shop, it's the same, it's exactly the same stuff. And I know it's a tendon. You see how this is brown and that's pinkish? This is tough, tough, tough. There's no, just a taste of give to it. This has the sarcomeres. This does not. That's the piece that was sticking up in the ocean. Now let's go a little further. Okay, this is about Fermilab, and this is particularly upsetting to me because I think we can get free energy, and I am blocked from doing any discussion with Fermilab. I found their particles. They do precisely what they said they do, but we use light instead of protons. They use big chunks like this and smash them to bits and have to have these huge colliders. We use lasers, put them through a Venturi, particles this size, and created raw electrical energy, raw white energy. It's the same energy that you use when you charge your battery. A 10-pound battery weighs 10 pounds. When all the electricity's gone out of it and you used it and ran your car for 20 miles, it still weighs 10 pounds. How'd you run your car on it? It still weighs the same weight. It actually doesn't. It's a tiny, tiny bit difference. And what the difference is the white particles, because they have no weight. And I show this over and over and over again. You can see it in atomic bomb blasts, and you can also see it in our light experiments. And I showed that, and I showed that to the people at CERN and University of Geneva, which I went to online, and I showed them all this stuff, and they weren't dismissive of it whatsoever. Once I finally convinced them that we could see it using CMOS, and you can, and now they are using CMOS to see their events as well. Originally they couldn't do it because they were using huge particles smashing to bits the CMOS. We're using light particles, so we could see it. But what they did was they took and they hardened the CMOS. All right, hardening means they put another bunch of layers in front of it so all the heavy stuff would be dissipated by the time the light actually hit the CMOS. And CMOS means complementary metal oxide silicates. It's just different types of energy levels of metals that will absorb different light particles. So anyway, I showed all this, and this we should be able to get free energy. And if we can separate these two particles, they claim the minimum you should be able to get back is 200 times more energy. And we created the raw white energy that fills batteries up. That's all you want, is that raw white in there. And we got it for free. All right, now don't forget now, this is the particles that they have seen, the smallest particles that exist. We have found them as well, but we use light. They use protons, and they see it in a pile of literal trash. We see it actually propagating and becoming, this is the same as that, but these particles are the same particles. Now, what we did was we put them through an accelerator, all right, and separated the white from the black. They know they can do this. This is not something that we discovered that can be done. They realize it can be done. The muon and the electron neutrino, the black and the white, which is this right here, the black and the white, they can separate. The black goes on its own. It's called a sterile muon. The white goes into a shower. And here's CERN's description of exactly what happens, which is a muon neutrino, the black one, attached to the white ball. The muon goes by itself. The white goes into showers when it turns into Cherenkov radiation. And that's when it hits heavy water and so forth. This is precisely what we did, just with a Venturi. We didn't have to add anything whatsoever. This is the light accelerating. A Venturi accelerates water. And light is nothing more than a liquid. It's just a liquid of particles. And the particles have to force through there. And their fields are enormous, the white fields. And they create these showers. Now don't forget, think about your battery. All right, let me just show you something. Okay, once again, do not forget, we are working in the light realm. These are particles of light, not gigantic protons. Protons are 1,823 times more than one of these particles here. One particle is a black and a white. That's one, what they call a gluon. The black ball is attached to the white ball. It's also called a Dirac neutrino. And we saw that we can separate them. That's fusion, and that's fission, where they break apart. They broke apart, no question. And they came back together. That's fission. So we've accomplished that. Now, what else have we done? We have completely separated the white through the Venturi. And here's how it works. The laser goes boom, boom, boom. The black balls are just too big. They can't get small like the white one. It's that same size forever. It's called a fixed particle, fixed, does not change, fixed. Bam, 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 bam. They come down here, they can't get through, but they can push the white. They absolutely push the white. I can prove that. Now, what happens here? All we have is white. All we have is white. That white is what charges batteries. We just let it dribble right into the battery and we fill it right back up. Just like that. And you can run this all day long, and you're going at least from 5 to 1,000. That's 200 times more. All right? So they claim that you should at least get that from these electron showers, a minimum of 200 times. Now, we've got some ideas and some design techniques and the different power of the lasers, and we just got to get it just before you hit the ultraviolet catastrophe. Just prior to that, we need lasers that will do that. And at that point, all of your electrons are going to come through there, and we'll harvest virtually all of them. And so we got a little bit of engineering to do, but not much. And this is done for very, very little, almost nothing. And you could put these lasers, literally hundreds, if not thousands, of these little tiny harvesters inside a box this big. These are tiny. Now think of this. Think of this carefully. What happens in a solar cell? You create electricity. Well, how does that happen? The light hits it. Well, what is this? It's light. And what does the light do when it hits the solar cell? It drives some white particles into conduction into a harvester. That's these white particles. We don't have just one or two hitting. We got billions of them, literally billions of them hitting a second. This is just scads and scads of white particles. And that's the only thing you use to fill up your batteries. That's the only thing that does anything in electricity is the white part. The black part is a pusher and a carrier. They call it the boson carrier. And I can show you doing that specific job. You see this? The first shot, all we had was the white coming through. This is a little more open, and it's letting some of the black come through. So we can see the black obviously pushes the white. Now, in the other case, the black pushed the white, and the white just had to squirt through and couldn't get back out. This time it came through with it, and we can see it pushing it as a wave. And I can explain these too. These are called Whistler waves, and they precede the concussion of the black. And that's photon to photon. This is actual just sweeping across the big heavy-duty black particle. And in an atomic bomb, you hear this, and then 30 seconds later, the black particle comes and smashes everything down. But originally, everything just burnt up. That's when everything just evaporates. And then the black comes and pushes everything down. So the black is the fixed particle, and it absolutely pushes the white. Now the other shot, which I'll show you again, shows that all we're going to do is harvest that white. We don't want that black coming through, and the white has nowhere else to go other than into batteries. No, it cannot escape. You see this? Once again, this is the device. Boom! The black balls just keep slamming, bam, 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 and the white can't even get hardly back out, and it just squirts it right through. It has absolutely no way to get out. It has to come down and fill the batteries. And it just dribbles down there. There's not a whole lot. White does not want to be next to other whites. It'll force its way down into that battery, though. So what do we have here? This is the only part we want. This is the only one we care about. So we got this one and we got this one. All right? Here they come through, moving this way. And they come right through here. And the black can't get through. Can't get through. So it just goes bam, 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 bam. The white's trying to get back out, and it hardly can't get out. The black keeps bashing it. And depending upon how many pulses, and you can regulate how many pulses there's going to be. The more pulses, or there'll be a certain frequency that you'll want to send it out, and it'll not let any of the white come out. It'll force it to go through that venturi. Once it goes through the venturi, all you got to do is send it down through what's called a photodiode, which means that photons of light itself go through the gate. Once the gate goes, it closes, you can't get back out. It's all in your batteries. And your batteries, again, you have a 10-pound battery, And you drive around, put 200 miles on that 10-pound battery, and then it doesn't work anymore. Well, it doesn't work because all the white particles are left. But it still weighs 10 pounds, basically. It'll be a tiny, tiny little bit of weight, because these do have some weight to them, but it's almost uncalculable. It's so small. So if we flush all this white back in, it still weighs 10 pounds. We go driving another 200 miles. If we could put this in our car and just plug it into the car, when you get in the car, you drive all day long and take it home with you if you want. Or just leave it in the car, and when you get in, you go, beep, and you turn the laser on, and the next thing you know, you got 200 times more power than your laser starts with. And you just drive down the road. You don't have to stop for gas or anything. No more electricity. It's just all automatic. And you can carry it around in this, and you can regulate it to any voltage, AC, DC, 50 volt, 50 cycles, 60 cycles, any voltage you want. And it was portable, and it's 100% safe. You can't get hurt with this. This is just light. This is just light. Only we separated the white part from the black part. That's the key. To do this with a mechanical device like a generator, you're trying to push whites against other white ones to force them to get out of the way. And they push back very hard. So you have to push them really hard to get them to generate electricity. So you're never really getting anywhere by using a generator. Now, these wind generators, you're harvesting wind, so there's no expense to that other than building the damn thing. Now, the solar panels, there's an expense to building them, but once they're done, you're harvesting the stuff that hits it. Now, it would be interesting to see a regular solar panel. If you took a Venturi and put the solar panel right here, would you increase the amount of electricity you're going to get? Somebody might want to try that. I haven't tried it, but I've turned on LEDs, which are light emitting diodes. When you put electricity into them, I put the light into them, and they put electricity out, and they're 2.5 volts, and that's using blue laser with a regular LED that you light. The ones that are lighting us up right here now, I broke apart a fixture, and I took them out, and I soldered it, and I ran it to a voltmeter, and I shine the light on it, and they got 2.5 volts. So this is not pie in the sky. And if we could get something like this to work, literally within weeks, they could be actually functioning and have electricity out there. And once it was done and engineering was done, it's like everything else. You can roll them off. They're solid state. You should really never have to do anything to it. Something like that, you should be able to power a car, even a house, with the electricity you need in a house. Not much bigger than that, I wouldn't think. Because we're getting 100%, 100% electricity from this reaction. And you don't have to stop, and it just continued all day long doing this. All right, there's much, much more that I can tell you about our reality and our history because of Velikovsky's excellent, excellent, excellent work and research into every culture on Earth. They all had the same stories. There was giants, there was dragons, there was a global flood. All of that stuff did literally actually happen. And it even goes beyond that, because planets and all that stuff, if you look into the ancient mythologies, another place we have to look. Jupiter specifically, because he was supposedly the god of this solar system. His other name was Zeus. So we're going to be getting into that. But if you haven't seen or understand what I've shown you with this hair follicle, giant, I don't know if it's a human or not, but it's a hair follicle, that I can tell you for no question. And it has one flat side on the hair shaft coming up. That means it was a curly-haired person. Now, I showed you the interstitium. I showed you the Mars crab. I showed you all the blood in the sarcomeres. I showed you the fascia and the interstitium, the gathered skin. I showed you this is all new, brand new. They never even knew this existed. I showed you the blueberries, the Mars blueberries, and the Mars Morse code, Mars crab, all that stuff. This was from 2015. I've been hitting them over and over, and now NASA is responding by saying, oh, there's a guy out here saying he's got Paradeolia. And look, there's a bear on Mars, and they make a big joke out of it. No. The joke is NASA, to be perfectly honest with you. All right, there is no big deal on a Venturi. All it is a restriction. In this particular case, Rod Warren from Australia actually used 2 finishing nails very close together, shot the laser through, and at this point, it separated the black. The black couldn't get through with the white, and only the white came through. Here it is right here. He shot it down, and then this here is a pin here and a pin here, just like this. The laser couldn't get, the white could get through, but the black can't, and it just kept pushing, and the white can't get out. The white can't get back out. The white has to go through, you see it? It just keeps bashing and bashing and bashing and bashing and bashing. And if you had the right setup, the right resonance frequency, you could probably almost sweep it all through here. You know, vroom, 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 or just there's a little engineering, not a big thing, not a big deal. And there might be some other designs that would be better, but this worked, and I could see what he was producing was fission and fusion, no question about it. And this is the raw white energy that fills up batteries, and they don't get any heavier because this has no weight. Has no weight to it, but it's got a hell of a lot of energy. I can't explain that, but I can show it in an atomic bomb blast, and that's the last thing I'm going to do. And then it's up to you to make your decision whether these people that run Fermilab and are running the geology departments around the world and are running NASA and virtually everywhere, in historical societies and all that, are they competent? Are they capable of interacting with this evidence? So far, that's not been the case. Not by a long shot. All right, what I'm going to show you is this right here. This is nothing more, literally, and I'm not kidding you, this is a subatomic nuclear bomb blast. This black line here, you see that? That's the shock wave of a bomb blast. This white stuff comes out first, and it comes out as a sound wave. They call it a whistler wave. And it comes out, it goes, and then a little while later, the black catches up with it. But in the meantime, this white stuff is so energetic, it just burns up what's ever in front of it. And it doesn't even sweep it away. It doesn't even move. It just turns into particles. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. And then the black part comes and sweeps everything away. And everybody's, oh, how come the camera doesn't get swept away? It's in a hardened enclosure facing away from the blast. You can obviously harden these things. That's not the normal case in a house, unless you want to harden your house. But the house is getting destroyed. The camera can obviously withstand this. And facing away from the bomb blast, you don't destroy the photo receiving part. So don't forget all my evidence, the giant hair follicle, these giant interstitium, all of that stuff, the Mars blueberries, the Mars Morse code, the Mars crab, the mussels, the sarcomeres, interstitium, all that stuff. Now let's see the bomb blast, and then I'm going to drop it from there. Okay, this is from atomcentral.com, and this is the test house that they did to see what the effect on a resonance would be. Now, the tanks won't burn up because they're made out of metal. They can withstand the radiation. The wires going across, and the poles, and the shingles, and everything that's combustible, it just vaporizes. It doesn't even move. It doesn't like sweep or anything until the black catches up. Just like I showed you with those white particles. The white is in front of the black, and as soon as the black hits, boom. But the white burns. Here it comes. Now I got this running exceptionally slow, and the first thing you see is a brilliant glow. You see? And everything in the air, all the molecules in the air have been excited. You see this? And I just stopped it, but it's not sweeping. You see the poles, you see the wires, you see the roof, you see the shingles. The things that hit head on really combust quickly because it's just flushing more electrons in. They can't accept electrons. Too many electrons. But they don't push because they don't have any weight. That's why when they go into your battery, it doesn't get heavier. They just don't have any weight. The thing's not moving, but wait till you see the black hit. So now let's continue. But don't forget, watch all of these cues that tell you what is being excited and how heavily it's being excited. And don't forget, we're faced away from the blast, so the camera's not getting blown away, and it's in a hardened enclosure. Very simple. Now, there it goes. And it just vaporized. Virtually everything's gone now that can vaporize. It's all gone. Boom, there comes the black particles, and the house goes. That's what it's all about for an atomic bomb. The white comes first, then the black. All right, the white comes first, then the black. This is what we need to collect and harvest. And as I showed you, we can funnel that right through a Venturi and just get the white. If it's tuned correctly, and then we do a little other engineering things, we should be able to just collect the white. That's all we want. And it's hard to separate that white from the black. It does not separate easily. Through the Venturi, it seems to just turn like, it just disassociates. And you can, there's a lot of things you can do once you understand dipole electron flood theory. If you don't understand dipole flood theory, then this is it, dipole electron flood theory. I've had this forever, but this was a paper I put out in 2019, and a friend wrote a book about it. He's just writing some, and he has all of my stuff in these little books, and they're nice. But right there, my friends, that is an atomic bomb blast. It's exactly what you saw a second ago. The white hit, burned everything up, and just smoked it up, and then the black came and pushed everything away. All right, check this out. This is the Whistler waves that we're going to hear that precede the really intense black particles coming. Here goes. All right, watch this now. You're going to hear, and you'll actually see. Watch. You hear that? Now, you see this? This is the black particles sweeping their way across. And if the house was there, it would have knocked the house down. It's got to come all this way. The white's already gone. All right? Well, it's ahead of this black. And we got to wait for the black. Now, after it hits, you'll hear a real long rush, which is the sweeping of all that black across. Now listen. You hear that? It's like a whirlwind wave. All right, but the cool part is the right in the very beginning where you hear the Whistler wave. All right, and this is the nuclear test. And all of a sudden it'll go bam, and you see, hear that? That's that ripple wave. All right, this was the Whistler waves. And that was what we saw. We'd be out here watching. And then all of a sudden, we can see that, and we hear, that's this. Almost instantaneously. Then the black just continues to sweep here and just pushes everything in front of it. All right, and in the other case, it burnt down the house and then knocked the house over. All right, so you've seen what I have to show you, and if you have a dispute and want any more clarification on this, or can offer some clarification that makes me reconsider my position, I'd like to hear it. And this, I'm telling you right now, I see no reason whatsoever. If we can separate that white and just funnel it right down into the batteries and just fill them right back up, you can see how it sweeps right across. It sweeps right in front. And we're squirting it through the Venturi, and it has nowhere to go. There's nowhere else for it to go. It has to go down there. Normally it's going to come and it reattach to the black balls. That's called the fusion. It comes through here and fission happens. Here it is again. Whoops. Here's the fission and fusion. All right, it comes through the particles like this. It goes through the Venturi. The black breaks off. Only the white can get through. So that's fission, that's fusion back here. If we can get in between the two, That's what all that white particle wants to do, is find a black particle. That's why it's electricity. And don't forget, your battery weighs 10 pounds when it's empty, and it weighs 10 pounds when it's full. This stuff has virtually no weight. That's why the house didn't go flying. I'm telling you, I don't see any reason we can't use this to make electricity, excessive quantities of electricity. This is a nuclear explosion, literally a nuclear explosion. It's the nucleus, which is made out of these dipole electrons, exploding. And that's why all of these are lit up here. You see these waves? You never even know they're here. This one you only see because it's being sucked forward. These are just coming, but they don't have any major interaction like this one does. It really gets pulled forward like crazy. These are being pushed back against. That's why it's only the front of the fields that are lit up. This one here is just pulling and sucking the particle right out of the wave. And again, this is the particle. And the reason it's being sucked out is because of the Venturi effect. All right? And it is the same particle they find at CERN and Fermilab. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I think we can get free energy. And, we spend more money in a second than it would take to develop this. And this could be developed one way or the other. It works or it won't work within a couple of weeks. Not even 1 week. I can't do it personally myself. I don't have the resources and the facilities. But if they're spending trillions of dollars like they are, and this could solve all our issues and refuse to look at, this is where it really irks me. Because Fermilab is the one, they just told me flat out, we're not going to look at this. Don't talk to us about this. We're not going to spend 1 minute to look at this. And that was, I tried to engage with Don Lincoln. He's always on there asking questions. He's supposed to be a senior senior researcher there, and hundreds of YouTubes. And I tried to engage with him, and he said, no, you're a tinfoil hat guy. And that was it. Now, he's this public servant. I don't think this is right. And so I want somebody to discuss this with me. If we get free energy here, that's just insanity. Plus, all the other stuff about our history and all, geology and all that's all nonsense too. I just showed you. And all of this missions to Mars and all that to see if there was ever life there. Well, I just showed you there was tons of it. Just like it's here on Earth. Gigantic life. Very, very similar to what it said in the myth. All the mythology it looks to me like it's pretty damn accurate. So there's another issue. We got to start from scratch again. That's why Mudfossil University has to become a fully fledged university and teaching truth in all the realms. Because I studied everything now, and they're all documented at this point. So, but there's obviously tweaks. There's other changes to be made. I can be wrong here or there. Yes, absolutely. I know you're going to say, "Oh, Roger, you can't be wrong." Well, anybody can be wrong, but I'm a material scientist. I don't make guesses. If I can show you something and you say that's wrong because of and sometimes I can get caught like that. I have been. Rarely, and I'm saying that in all modesty, because I take the time to do the work to see if it is right or not. And then I back it up by some kind of demonstration. I don't have to have formulas and laws and constants and all that nonsense that they do. And the redshift doesn't work either. Redshift, the light is not shifting red because the galaxies are expanding. Light shifting is red because it's slowing down. Light slows down, speeds up, and does both those things. No problem whatsoever. So we have no idea where we are in the galaxy either, because we measure everything by the speed of light, and we say if it's redshifted so much, it means it's so far away. Well, it means it's like a bazillion miles away. No, the light is just slowing down as it comes to us. And it slows down when it interacts with all the fields in the quantum foam, another one of Fermilab's papers. Same guy that wrote this, Don Lincoln. He's got quantum foam. He says empty space is not empty. Just look it up, Fermilab quantum foam. Empty space is not empty. It's filled with particles. It's saturated with particles, and they wink on and off because they're getting banged into it here and there. All they are is light and these kind of particles and little dust particles, and they flip on and off all the time because they're being hit by other particles. And that's what they call a quantum foam, dizzying display of flashing on and off little particles. Yes, that's true. Okay, so I showed you Fermilab won't engage with reality. NASA is trying to dismiss me. And the guy in Fermilab, Don Lincoln, went on, when I was first engaged with him, and he went on, oh, some guy's doing this, and he would like make a big joke out of what I was presenting. And the other girl from Fermilab, the neutrino girl, bananas and neutrinos or something like that, she won't engage. None of them will. But they put a big thing up, say, oh, have you got any questions, just ask me. Which I did. So can somebody be that incompetent to see what I showed and say that I'm the one that's wrong and they're the one that's right? How can they miss this? This is Don Lincoln's own particles, and I'm showing them right here, and refuse to engage because I am the tinfoil hat guy. They're spending billions of our dollars. Billions. And I am the tinfoil hat guy. And we could possibly get free energy, as I showed you. I don't see any reason that it wouldn't work. That is raw energy. It's exactly what you want to put in your battery. Okay, listen to this. This is my prediction about what they're going to find when they analyze the sample that they just brought back from Asteroid Benue. Now listen. Another one that I'm going to show you right here. NASA scientists get a surprise when they open the sample of Bennu asteroid dust. I'm going to tell you exactly what this is made of, and that is a heart. Bennu is a heart. If you watch this, and then you can still say, no, Roger, you're wrong, then you are... Then I'm going to say you're probably a fraud or a liar or incompetent, but you make your your determination. What I show is evidence or not evidence. What they show will end up being the same molecular structure as I am about to show you. You see, this just came in this morning. Strange mounds on Kuiper Belt object could be traces of where it came from. Yeah, it came from a body of a creature. All right, see, this is one in the Kuiper Belt. That's not 67P. This right here, my friends, is 67P. It's basically the same thing. There's a ball and this piece coming up here. This is part of a hip joint, I believe. And this is the tendons. This is a bundle of muscle. And this is the socket that it bangs, it's locked into. The other one is basically the same thing. Now this, let me show you, I believe... Well, let me show you what it is. Here's a better shot. Well, this is a different shot, showing the piece where it breaks off here. Other ones break off up here and cause that thing that is in the Kuiper Belt. And here it is right here. Whoops. This is it right here. You see this? Sometimes they break right off there and you get the ball and that little piece at the end. And sometimes it breaks off right here and you get 67P, this whole piece. And that's where all the gases are coming out of the arteries and the blood vessels. Very, very easy to see if you put your mind in the right frame of mind to look at it. If you don't have a biologist or somebody who knows anatomy, well, then they just see rocks. But when you have somebody that's fully engaged in all of the sciences, which I am, I understand exactly what I see. It's all biology. All right, so here's all the juices that are shooting out of here. And these are literally bodily juices. These are blood and body chemistry because it's being burnt off, basically cooked off by the sun hitting that huge artery, that big, big artery. These are little blood vessels. These ones over here are tiny little blood vessels. And they're servicing the tendon and so forth that comes up here. This is nothing more than biology, and this is back 2015. I've been showing this to NASA forever. I've been saying, please take a look at this. This is what they found when the European Space Agency went up to 67P. This is the chemistry, and this is exactly identical to the chemistry that they will find on Bennu when they open up the capsule. There'll be a little more blood. There'll be more ferrous oxides because it's from a heart, which is almost 100% blood. So there'll be a little more. Well, there'll be a lot of iron, and there'll be a lot of transition metals, because that's what blood's made out of. And of course, hydrocarbons and silicon and sodium and so forth. But primarily, it's going to be almost identical to the blood that comes out of your body. How little we know. Distant objects shown solar system extends further than we know. Everything is different than we know. Look at this. Comet impact sparked a massive change on Earth 13,000 years ago. I have no idea about that. Giant solar storm, 14,000 years, leaves dust from the Carrington event in the dust. NASA, how to see awesome ring of fire eclipse happening this week. Well, it's amazing what we do not know and what we have been told that we have to accept for science. That day is over. All right, thank you. I love you, my friends. I want to hear from you if you think I am the one that's crazy, or incompetent, or a fool, or is it the other way around? All right, or am I a liar? Maybe I'm just a liar and a fraud, or maybe they are. What do you think?